or hopped on a bus, looked out the window, and wondered, how did that giant earth mover even get here?
Right.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling the world of import-export,
Yeah.
specifically for those massive machines you see on construction sites and mining operations.
Yo.
So if you've ever thought about a career making sure these global giants get where they need to be,
Yeah.
this deep dive is for you. Think of it as your cheat sheet
Exactly.
to see if this is the right path for you.
It's a fascinating field,
Yeah.
really. We're talking about machinery that's often built on one continent, right?
Right.
Shipped to another
Oh, wow.
and put to work building the world's infrastructure.
It's incredible. And it's not as simple as just, putting a bulldozer on a boat, right?
No, not at all.
We've got the RoleCatcher career guide for import-export specialists.
Okay.
And it really breaks down the skills, the trends, even potential challenges that you might face.
Yeah, it's all in there.
So let's dive into their insights, shall we?
Let's do it. The guide starts by emphasizing just how crucial import-export specialists are.
Yeah.
They're the ones ensuring seamless movement of machinery across borders.
Yeah.
Which means in-depth knowledge of trade regulations, customs procedures, and, of course, all the essential documentation.
It's like being a multilingual expert in global shipping.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Except instead of languages, you're fluent in tariffs and legalities.
That's a good way to put it.
The guide also talks about the fast-paced work environment.
Oh, yeah. It's not for the faint of heart. We're talking tight deadlines, unexpected hiccups, and a constant need to problem solve.
Oh, wow.
But this also means that the work is dynamic. You could find yourself in an office one day, at a bustling port the next, maybe even traveling internationally to oversee a shipment.
Okay, the travel aspect alone makes this sound pretty tempting.
It's a perk for sure.
But the guide doesn't just paint a rosy picture, right?
Right?
What does it say about the potential downsides?
Well, it's a competitive field, requires extensive knowledge, and it's ever-evolving. Global instability can also impact the industry.
Oh, right.
Just imagine a trade dispute erupting halfway through a shipment. You'd need to think on your feet.
Talk about high stakes. So for those who are up for the challenge, what kind of skills does the guide emphasize for success?
It's a mix of hard and soft skills.
Okay.
Obviously, you need a firm grasp of international trade regulations, customs procedures, and all the paperwork involved.
Yep.
But strong communication, negotiation, and problem-solving skills are equally important.
It's interesting you mentioned those soft skills. I imagine being able to build rapport with people from different cultures is crucial when you're dealing with international clients and suppliers.
Yeah, absolutely. The guide even highlights active listening and a clear communication, both written and verbal, as essential. Think about it. You might need to explain complex regulations to someone who doesn't speak your language.
Right.
Or navigate a cultural misunderstanding during a critical negotiation.
Those are some serious diplomacy skills.
You need them.
And then there's the tech side of things. The guide mentions automation and digitalization changing the game.
It's true. Software systems are increasingly managing logistics, tracking shipments in real time, even using blockchain for transparency.
Wow.
Imagine tracking a massive crane from a factory in Japan all the way to a construction site in Dubai.
Yeah.
With every step recorded and verifiable on a blockchain.
Okay, that's seriously impressive.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a far cry from, dusty old shipping manifests.
Definitely.
What does the guide say about how this tech evolution will impact, aspiring import-export specialists?
It stresses the importance of being tech-savvy.
Okay.
But it's not just about knowing how to use the software. It's about understanding how it's transforming the industry and being prepared to adapt.
So instead of, fearing the robots,
Right.
it's about learning to work alongside them.
Exactly.
Now, before we delve deeper into the tech side of things, I'm curious about the career path itself. The guide outlines different stages, from entry-level all the way to import-export director.
It's a good overview.
Let's start at the beginning. What does the guide say about the life of an entry-level import-export specialist?
At this stage, it's all about learning the ropes.
Okay.
You'll likely assist with customs clearance procedures, coordinate shipment logistics, and ensure compliance with regulations.
So it's a lot of shadowing more experienced colleagues and getting comfortable with the ins and outs of the industry, right?
Exactly. Think of it as your crash course in the world of import-export. You're building a solid foundation, learning from the ground up.
And I imagine a healthy dose of enthusiasm and a willingness to learn goes a long way at this stage.
Absolutely. The guide emphasizes being proactive, asking questions, and taking initiative. This isn't a field for wallflowers.
No.
Now, as you gain experience and prove yourself, you naturally progress to a junior import-export specialist role.
What does that step up look like in terms of responsibility?
According to the guide, a junior specialist takes on more ownership of the process. Think managing import-export documentation for multiple shipments, coordinating with freight forwarders, maybe even conducting compliance audits.
So there's more juggling, more responsibility for making sure everything runs smoothly, and probably a lot more pressure, too, I imagine.
Absolutely. The stakes are higher. This is where you're really putting your knowledge into practice, dealing with real-world situations that can make or break a shipment.
It sounds like the ability to stay calm under pressure is non-negotiable at this stage. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's pause there for now. So we've got this junior import-export specialist, handling more responsibility, feeling the heat.
Yeah.
What's the next step up on this career ladder?
Think bigger picture.
Okay.
The guide describes the senior import-export specialist role as overseeing operations for the entire organization,
Wow.
not just individual shipments.
Okay.
They're developing strategies, managing those crucial international relationships with suppliers, customers. It's about trust building on a global scale.
From mastering the technical details to becoming a global strategist.
Exactly.
I'm also guessing that staying up to date on regulations is even more critical at this level, right?
Absolutely. A senior specialist isn't just following the rules, they're anticipating changes,
Right.
spotting potential snags before they become, major issues.
Yeah.
They're analyzing market trends, identifying new business opportunities. They're thinking about global trade with an executive mindset.
It's like being a global trade detective.
A little bit, yeah.
So you've got the experience, the strategic vision. What does it take to reach that coveted import-export manager level?
Think bigger teams, bigger responsibilities.
Okay.
We're talking about overseeing import-export activities across multiple locations, maybe even globally.
Wow.
You're coordinating shipments across continents, managing teams, navigating diverse regulations. This is where leadership skills become paramount.
That's a whole other level of organization and multitasking.
It is.
What does the guide say about the key skills for an import-export manager?
It highlights the ability to develop and implement import-export policies and procedures.
Okay.
You're setting the standard for the entire department, ensuring things run smoothly, efficiently, across the board.
So you're not just managing people, you're shaping the entire import-export operation.
Right.
Okay, last but definitely not least,
Yeah.
we've got the pinnacle of this career path,
Right.
import-export director.
Big job.
What does that role entail?
The guide paints a picture of a visionary leader
Okay.
setting the strategic direction for all import-export activities.
Wow.
They're building relationships with top executives, government officials, maybe even international trade organizations. They're representing the company on a global stage.
Talk about a high-level diplomacy. And I imagine they're also responsible for making sure all this global activity is profitable.
Absolutely. Managing the import-export budget, ensuring financial performance are key responsibilities for an import-export director. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Keeping things compliant and keeping the bottom line healthy.
Wow, what a journey. From coordinating shipments to shaping global strategy, this career path offers incredible growth potential.
Yeah.
But we focused on machinery.
Right?
Does this career trajectory look similar in other sectors, say agricultural products?
That's the beauty of this field. While the specific goods and regulations might differ, the core skills and stages of progression, they often remain the same.
Okay.
You're essentially building a transferable skill set,
Okay.
which means your expertise can open doors to opportunities across various industries.
Talk about career flexibility. It's not just about what you know. It's about being adaptable, a quick learner, and able to navigate complexity.
For sure.
Now, before we shift gears to the impact of automation,
Okay.
I want to touch on something really interesting the guide mentioned. Specialization.
Yeah.
Finding your niche within the world of import-export.
Right.
While the guide focuses on machinery in general, it does highlight the advantages of becoming an expert in a particular type of equipment.
It's a good point.
So instead of being a jack of all trades,
Right.
you could become the go-to expert for, say,
Yeah.
importing mining equipment from a specific region.
Precisely. It's about becoming so knowledgeable in a specific area that companies seek you out for your expertise.
That level of specialization could lead to some very interesting opportunities, I imagine.
Absolutely. Think consulting on international projects, maybe even relocating to a region with high demand for your specialized knowledge.
It's like anything else. The more you know, the further you can go. But this brings us back to that looming question. How is automation going to impact this career path? We touched on it earlier,
Yeah.
but I think it deserves a deeper dive. So we've got this picture of a rapidly evolving field, tech changing the game. What does the RoleCatcher guide say about how automation will specifically impact, aspiring import-export specialists?
Well, it acknowledges the anxiety a lot of people feel about automation replacing jobs. And while no one has a crystal ball, the guide suggests it's more likely to, reshape the role of import-export specialists rather than eliminate it entirely.
So instead of picturing robots taking over, we should be thinking about how humans and technology will work together in this field.
Exactly. Think of it this way. What if AI could handle those repetitive tasks like processing standard documents
Right.
or crunching huge data sets for market analysis?
Yeah.
This would free up human specialists to focus on more complex strategic work.
That makes sense. So instead of spending hours on paperwork,
Right.
you're using your expertise to, solve a logistical puzzle, negotiate a tricky international deal, or build relationships with clients across the globe.
Precisely. And this is where those so-called soft skills become even more important. Critical thinking, creative problem solving, intercultural communication. These are all areas where humans still have a significant edge over even the most sophisticated AI.
It's like that saying, technology can't replace human connection, especially in a field like import-export, where, building trust and understanding across cultures is so essential.
Exactly. And think about the complexities of global trade. Political landscapes shift, natural disasters occur, cultural nuances sometimes, make or break a deal. These aren't things an algorithm can easily navigate.
So maybe instead of fearing automation, aspiring import-export specialists should see it as an opportunity to upskill, to focus on those uniquely human strengths that will continue to be in high demand.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway. And the guide emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and adaptability. The import-export specialists who thrive in the future will be the ones who embrace new technologies, who are constantly learning and expanding their skill sets.
It makes you wonder what new specializations might emerge as this field evolves. Maybe we'll see import-export specialists who are also experts in AI or blockchain,
Oh, interesting.
ensuring those technologies are integrated effectively and ethically into global trade.
Absolutely. Or specialists who focus on sustainable and ethical sourcing, navigating the complexities of international regulations and, consumer demand for responsible products. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
It's exciting to think about all the ways this field could evolve. So for anyone listening who is intrigued by the world of import-export, remember, this deep dive was just a starting point.
It is. Do your research, talk to people in the industry, and most importantly, stay curious.
The world of global trade is constantly changing, which means there will always be new challenges to solve, new opportunities to discover, and new ways to make your mark on the world. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one orchestrating the global dance of machinery in the years to come. Until next time, keep exploring.